Are my hobbies and hyperfixations keeping me from God? In the age of TikTok, where everything has a talk, there's book talk, there's knit talk, there's gardening talk, there's customizing keyboards talk, like art talk. There's all of these talks, TOK talk, on TikTok. People tend to get really hyperfixated on these things. And I'm making this video because I actually got a comment that I'm going to read to you a couple weeks ago. It says, do a video on how you can live for Christ daily while still having fun with hobbies and stuff. And this seemed like a really generic comment to me, but I was really, really taken by surprise how many people liked it and commented under it and were like, oh my gosh, yes, do a video on this. So I made a community post on YouTube, and then I asked my Patreon members, which you can join my Patreon, and I'll have it in my description if you want to be a member, and asked them, like, what are your guys' thoughts on this? And it was really interesting to see a lot of people's thoughts. A lot of people had the same consensus of like, I like doing all of these things, but how do I include God in all of it? And how do I glorify God in everything that I do? And I was like, oh my gosh, I love that question. That's such a good question, especially in an age where everybody gets so obsessive with whatever hobby they have. And personally, I fall under the book and knit talk. I have a whole other YouTube channel that I will link if you're interested, where I do like book vlogs and I show you like what I'm knitting. And I wish I could say I knit this sweater. It's really cute, but I haven't. One day I'll be able to knit something like that. But I am a girl that loves a hobby. And it is very important to me. This year, my like theme of the year has been to consecrate and to like offer up everything as a living sacrifice, basically. So how can I honor God in actually like every single thing I do? How can I make my life a life of worship and still do all of these fun things, right? So I think the first thing that I think about when I like have looked through my year of like, how can I make my knitting, my reading, my horseback riding, my work, my social media, my marriage, my friendships, how can I make them all honoring to God and invite God into everything, right? So I think the first thing to look at is 1 Corinthians 10:31. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all for the glory of God. So I'm like, okay, what does that mean though? Like for me specifically, when I was looking at this year and my theme of the year being to consecrate everything that I do, what does that actually look like? And hobbies are fun, and like you can knit and you can read and you can horseback ride or you can garden or you can draw or paint or whatever you want to do. And I saw a lot of comments saying that if it doesn't honor God, you can't do it. If it's not Christian, you can't do it. If you're not reading only Christian books, if you're not drawing only Christian things, if you're not singing only Christian songs, then you can't do it because it's not honoring to God. And I think that is harmful and wrong to say, because when we look at what sin is in the Bible, in Galatians 5:19-21, now the works of the flesh are evident, flesh being sin, sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, dissensions, divisions, envy, drunkenness, orgies, and things like these. I warn you, as I warned you before, that those who do such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. So, granted, if your hobbies involve drunkenness and orgies, yeah, don't do that. But if you're just a girl who likes to knit or read or do whatever, that's not in the list. Now, granted, I guess you could use those things for evil. I'm trying to even think. If you are reading only, spicy content books, if you're only reading erotica, which would fall under sexual immorality, sensuality, all of those, then I could see that becoming a problem. If you're reading books that induce fits of anger or jealousy, then I can see that that's a problem. And if I don't even know how you would use knitting for evil. Actually, I do. I tried to knit a new pattern a couple days ago, and it was like a new thing, and I was watching the YouTube video 5 times and getting it wrong 5 times, and it did put me into a fit of rage. I think, like, genuinely, I haven't been that angry in a long time, so I had to like set it down and walk away. So I think if I had continued to do that and just allowed myself to sit in anger, I think that would be a problem, like fits of anger or rage, because genuinely I felt rage in that moment. So I had to like, make myself take a time out and go do something else, walk away and breathe for a second and come back to it the next day. So maybe that is where I had to utilize some self-control. But like, you don't have to do only Christian things to make it honoring of God, because the life of a Christian is to honor God, to worship him, to sacrifice things, to pick up your cross daily, but it doesn't mean that you can't have fun. And I think there is that common misconception among Christians that like, oh, when you become a Christian, you can't do fun things anymore. And it's like, no, we still do fun things, but we get to honor God through them. The life of a Christian looks like, yes, reading your Bible and prayer and being involved in community, but you can also do what you enjoy because God created you to enjoy things. And like each of us are different and enjoy different things. And that's good. The thing that I think can become a problem is when you are discontent, when your hyperfixation or hobby becomes an idol, and whether you are not diligent in honoring God with your time. Because I think the questions you need to ask yourself is like, okay, is the amount of time I'm spending on reading, knitting, gardening, whatever, taking away from my time with God? Now, I don't think it's fair to say like you should be spending more time praying than what you're doing. I don't think you need to quantify time of prayer, but it is important to say like, okay, am I avoiding prayer or reading my Bible because I'm wanting to do this thing? And I'm so guilty of that, where I'm like, I don't want to read my Bible today because I want to read a couple more chapters of my fiction book. And I think that is when it becomes a problem, because you're prioritizing it over the Bible in your day. And I think I've been guilty of that becoming a problem. But if it's like, yeah, I spent time with God today, I read my Bible, I've prayed, I've like, checked the boxes of Christian practices that are important to me in my walk with God. And now I can read this book that is maybe not a Christian book, but is still glorifying to God because it has good things in it and it is it's like enjoyment. That's cool. That's good. There are also a lot of times that like, for example, why can't I talk? For example, a couple nights ago, I was just feeling really emotionally burnt out. I was feeling really sad. And I was like, okay, I want to like sit and listen to worship music, but I wanted to do something with my hands. So for an hour before I had to go to a meeting, I listened to worship music alone in my house and I knitted, knitted. And it was great. I felt so much more at peace after. I felt like my nervous system calmed down, and it was great because I think I've become an iPad baby and I have a hard time doing anything without using my hands to do something. So most of the time if we watch TV, I'm knitting. So it was actually like really helpful to be able to do that and try and make my little beanie while listening to worship music, and it was a great time. So like if you're someone that really likes gardening, you can pray and garden. You can listen to worship music and garden. You can be in silence and garden. You can listen to secular music that is not anti-God and garden. Like you can invite God into practices. That doesn't mean you have to listen to worship music, or you have to only draw pictures of the Bible, or you have to do something quote unquote Christian-y while you do your hobby. As long as it is not anti-God, it can be for God. Like you can do things for God and it not be specifically drawing a picture of Jesus. You can draw a picture of a flower and it still be honoring to God. The first question is this taking over a position in my life that God is supposed to have? Is this hobby making me lazy? Because I've had to check myself there. Because there are some times where I'm like, I'm really not wanting to go to work. I would much rather cancel all of my clients today and read instead. And it's like, no, that's lazy. I just need to like go to work. Is this hobby distracting me from responsibilities I have? And there's a level of like distraction that is just normal. Like if you're in the middle of a really good book, yeah, sometimes I think about that all day long, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to know what happens next. I'm so excited about this book. The world that it's created is so cool. And yes, it does distract me the rest of the day. Now, that's on me to like know, what am I supposed to be filling my thoughts with? Because, the Bible talks about like whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is good. Think about these things. Now, you can be thinking about a fantasy book that is good and pure and lovely, and like that's okay. But if it is distracting you from things that you need to be present in, that's when it becomes a problem. Not that you can't think about a good book for the day, but like if I'm trying to engage in a conversation with my husband, right? And I'm trying to talk to him and like be present and listen, but all I can think about is my book, I'm not being a good wife. And that's less about a problem about the book. It's not like the book is evil because of it. It's distracting me. It's that I need to take thoughts captive so that I can be fully present and listen to my husband or my friend or whoever I'm talking to or whatever task I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to read the Bible and all I can think about is my other book, that's an opportunity for me to take thoughts captive and try and focus on the living, breathing word of God, right? And then the other thing is that I've had to like also be careful of is like, am I wasting a lot of money? And to me, I'm like, of course not. It's not a waste to spend money on books or yarn or horseback riding lessons. Of course not. That's not a waste. But it could be excessive or unwise or foolish. And like the same with like Pilates talk. Like everybody's into Pilates right now. Not everybody can afford a $500 membership to a Pilates studio, $500 a month. Not everyone can do that. I would argue most people can't. And so I don't go to Pilates. Yes, I love Pilates. I can't afford Pilates, like reformer Pilates. So if I want to do Pilates, I'll do it at home on a mat because it's free on YouTube. And there are ways like you can read and go to the library. You can borrow books from friends. If you don't have the money to be spending on it, and hear me, that doesn't mean you can't buy it. I buy books all the time, but me and my husband talk and like I have a budget. I have what I'm allowed to spend on books. We have like our own personal fund budgets, and I can spend that on what I want. Now, if I was consistently going over budget and I was, going against what me and my husband have agreed for our budget, and I was just being foolish and buying books when we don't have the money for books, that's when it becomes a problem. Or I'm buying yarn when I don't have money for yarn because yarn, like nice yarn, is expensive. So you have to operate under the conditions that you're in. Like, have hobbies and do fun things, but like if it's foolish for you to be spending that money, then that's when it becomes a problem. And it's not the hobby's fault, it's you. Like it's me. It's not having the self-control and discipline to know like, am I stewarding my finances well? Yes, buy books. I have literally 4 bookshelves in my house full of books on the other side of the camera. I have a bag of yarn in my closet right now. But that was budgeted for, that was talked about, and that was like not foolish of a decision for me. Other people may say like, oh, that's so dumb that you bought that many books when you could get a Kindle or you could go to a library. I would rather spend money on X. And it's like, yeah, everybody has their preferences. I really, really enjoy owning books. That's something that I love. I love getting to do that. Now, if it became foolish for me, I would absolutely stop buying them. Other people prioritize different things. Like, for example, my friend Christian is an audio engineer. He does a lot of audio stuff. He loves buying fun toys in the audio world. Those are incredibly expensive toys, but I would literally never in a million years spend that much money on audio equipment for fun or a guitar or whatever he's buying. But for him, that's what makes him really happy. That's what's really fun for him. That's what he enjoys. And he saves up money and is wise and buys it when he's able to buy it. He would never in a million years spend as much money as I have on books. It's just about you. Like, what do you like? What do you like spending money on? And is it wise for you to be spending that money? And it's okay to buy things and enjoy things as long as it is in moderation and it is not a foolish use of your money or an excessive amount. Like, can you afford it, basically? And then, does the thing push you into time with God or push you into time with community? Because those are both good things. And like, how can you utilize your hobbies to like glorify God more? Is like, okay, maybe the answer is like you start a book club and you get in community more with people that read, or like you start a knitting club, or you start a gardening club, or you start whatever kind of club or social event you want, where you invite people over and like you join in these things with people to make better connections in your church community. Like that's such a good way. Like women are really good at this. I think we love to have a hobby that we do with other women. And I think that's natural for us, but especially for men. Like I've said this before, but I think golf was created because men feel weird going on walks together and talking. Like it's a way for them to like talk and hang out, and it's a hobby and it's fun. And like, or pickleball or disc golf or whatever active thing men like to do. Or they watch football together, which like to me, I'm like, that's so dumb because I don't care about football at all. But for a lot of men, that's their community time. That's where they hang out and have fun and they get to like talk. And it's community building. So hobbies are a great thing. And like football isn't a Christian thing, but it can be used and redeemed in a way that glorifies God. And I think the only other issue that I would have with a hobby is when you're never content with that thing. Like if I'm feeling like I'll never be content until I have this many books, and then that number always changes, or I'll never be content until I've knit this many things, or I have this specific type of yarn. And it says in Philippians 4:11-13, not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. And this is like, Paul's in prison, okay? And is saying he's content. Also, on my Patreon, if you want to join, we do a book club every month. And for the month of November, we're reading through The Rare Jewel of Christian Contentment. I'm filming this in November. And this is like the heart verse for the whole book. And it says, "For I have learned in whatever situation," because contentment is something you have to learn. It is not something that you instantly are good at. But I've learned a lot through this book, and it is genuinely changing my life. I don't think I've ever read a book that has changed my life this much. And I am someone that really needs that. I'm someone who lets their hobbies or interests or whatever become more and more and more like, oh, I'll be content when I have 1,000 books because then I get to call it a library. Or I'll be content when I finally get to make this sweater and have this kind of wool yarn. I'll finally be content when I own my own horse because riding someone else's horses isn't enough anymore. And like having to continually consecrate that and lay that down and surrender that and be like, no, I'm choosing to be content in everything because I have already been given everything that I could ever need. We have already been given the gift of salvation. We've already been given the greatest gift ever. And like, we don't deserve anything. All good things come from above. And so learning to be thankful for all of your hobbies, all of the things that God has given you that you can enjoy. I'm so thankful that like God has given me a love for reading or a love for knitting or a love for horses. I'm so thankful that I'm in a position in my life where I'm able to ride horses weekly. I was not able to do that before. I was not able to do that as a child. That's a huge blessing. I'm so thankful that like I can afford to buy books because I like buying books and that I have like pretty bookshelves because I like that. And I'm so thankful that like knitting is something that me and my best friend do together. And like, that's a way for us to connect. And that's really cool. And that's such a huge blessing that like these things that I enjoy in life, or even like just being outside and being thankful that like I can go for a walk and like see things that God has created. There's so much to be thankful for. And that's the secret of a heart of contentment is thankfulness and understanding that like in any situation, I already have enough. And to get more is just more blessing that I can be thankful for instead of always wanting more and being greedy and ungrateful. So ultimately, like as far as hobbies go, like it says in 1 Corinthians 10:23, all things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful, but not all things build up. And I've seen this verse abused by saying like, well, I don't think this is beneficial for you. I don't think this is helpful for you. And ultimately that's a personal decision and your community that you allow to have to speak into your life. That's up to them. Yeah, you have the freedom to do whatever kind of hobby you want, but is it beneficial for you? Does it build you up? Does it push you to spend more time in community? Does it honor God? Does it make you love Jesus more? Does it make you love people more? Are you being responsible with your money and responsible and a good steward of your time? Because it all comes down to like glorifying God in everything that you do is about being a good steward with what he has given you and being content in all things, no matter the circumstances, and being thankful for the joys and the love of whatever you're doing and thanking God that he has created you in a way to enjoy things.